In the Field updates on Market Journal are supported by the Nebraska Corn Board. During the growing season, we like to begin with our In the Field updates as we head out and about. Last week, storms made their way through portions of northeast Nebraska, and some areas were impacted by tornadoes. We had a chance to catch up with a producer who is dealing with the aftermath of one of those storm systems. My colleague at the Rural Radio Network, Chad Moyer, is standing by with this update. Chad?
It was an exciting and tense weekend in northeast Nebraska as a storm front that went through the area brought along with it several tornadoes. And we're visiting with one of the farmers who was affected by the tornado, or the tornado went over some of the ground that that he farms. He is Mark Weeman from southeast Stanton County. Mark, thanks for visiting with us here today. We'll get to the storms over the weekend in just a moment. But first of all, if you could just tell me, how did the spring go for you guys as we talk about this update here this week?
Well, this area right through here like that, we experienced 2 years of back-to-back severe drought, and going into this spring, we had not picked up a lot of moisture. After the snows melted off in the winter, everything stayed dry, and so we were going to sow some oats and alfalfa and like that, and our biggest concern was would we even get enough moisture to germinate the stuff. We had to dish some corn stalks, and we got the crop sown, and then we just sat there and hoped that we get, some timely rains, and we got a ½ inch and kind of got things rolling. But then it got awful cold, and we did lose some alfalfa, and we did lose some oats from freeze out. So, but then after that, once the planting season got into late April and May and like that, we started picking up timely rains, and now we're to the point where we kind of maybe like to have a little bit of break so we can finish fertilizing corn and get the spraying wrapped up. But we did get all the hay put up in good shape. And so we've been very fortunate compared to the previous 2 years.
Yeah. So just rough estimate, how has the spring recharge been water-wise? How much moisture have you had?
Well, it all depends. The east side of our farming operation probably has had 6-7 inches of maybe towards 8 total inches of moisture. On this side, we probably almost doubled that, but we had some awful punishing rains on this side. A lot of field erosion, a lot of water's run off. So we'll see how those stands are going to fare as far as shallow-rooted corn and stuff like that going forward. So it's once again, it's location.
Sure. What about planting progress? Did it take several chunks to get the crops, the corn and soybean, planted this year?
Yes, we got off to a good start in late April, getting some beans in first. And then we got a little bit of corn in, and then all of a sudden we kind of turned wet and cold. And we had about a 2-week window in there. We really didn't turn a wheel at all. And then after that, it kind of straightened out, and we kind of were able to push through. But there were rain delays. But, people around here just said you just basically shut up and put up with it, because compared to the previous 2 years, it was no fun, planting in the dust. And, so it's been a tough area to farm through here the last couple of years.
Yeah. Tell me about the stand establishment. Once you did get all of that, all of the corn and soybeans in the ground, how did the crops come up?
Basically, I was really amazed. I thought maybe with some of the colder issues early and then some of the moisture that we were followed by sunlight and some hard driving winds with the ground kind of crusted, even in no-till. And in the end, we got just enough timely showers here and there that the crops all made it through in good shape. And throughout the entire area, I think the stands are really good until the washing rains kind of took some of that out and changed that. But no, I think the stand establishment in our area was good.
Okay, have you had to deal with any bugs or diseases or anything like that here so far?
So far, the only problem we had with bugs is early on the alfalfa had to be sprayed several weeks prior to it being harvested, because it loaded up with insects, worms, and aphids and stuff like that. We had to spray alfalfa, but other than that, no problem with the beans, no problem with the corn. Now, neighbor did tell me over here that he spotted some woolly caterpillars in his bean field, so he had to put some insecticide in for that and like that. But we're all kind of watching for that right now. But as far as anything else, no, it's going pretty darn good.
All right. So. Well, let's talk about the weekend's events. And you mentioned that there have been several rains, Mark, that have kind of beaten the ground in this area. And this past weekend, tornadoes in the Howells and Clarkson area, near Pilger, and up to Pender as well. I guess just tell me the tornadoes from last weekend, how did it affect your operation?
Actually, our operation, we got off pretty darn good. The farm right west of here, it came all the way through that quarter. That was soybeans that are planted over there. We're going to probably have to go in that quarter. It would take a planter, and where the tornado path went, it piled up corn stalks. It also stripped a lot of the beans. They're not going to come back, so we're going to have to fill in some stand. But overall, we fared okay. But we're standing in a location here where the guy that owns this acreage amongst our farm ground didn't fare so well. And there's been storm damage here the last couple of years too from tornadoes with pivot damage and everything else in the area. So it's been kind of a rough haul.